Hey everybody, CW here, Card Wolf, because I am always on the hunt for great cards. Today is a mail day, as I promised on Friday during the Double Dorking with Dice episode that we did, and these are some cards that I bought online a couple of weeks ago, and they arrived, and I've been very excited to open these. These are some very old, very vintage baseball cards that I was super excited to actually win some of the auctions for. These are cards from the 30s, and they're really just. I think they're just beautiful cards, and I have never seen so many of them offered before. It looked like somebody had given their whole collection to a consignment seller on eBay for them to sell, and they were all graded, and many of them were graded very high. And again, I'd never seen so many of these offered at auction all at once. There were, I think, over 150 different cards, and just an amazing opportunity, and I couldn't pass it up. When I saw all these, had been posted, I kind of was scrolling through and just, overwhelmed by it, and just thinking, which one of these do I actually want to bid on, and, trying to figure out what my budget was for cards this month and next month, and because it was really felt like, this is overstating it maybe, but it really felt sort of like a once in a lifetime opportunity. I really felt like I was not going to ever see this kind of a collection come up for auction in that way. Usually when people have cards like this from, very vintage cards from the 1930s, and they have them graded and they want to post them for sale, almost always they go up for buy it now. So you never see these come up for auction where you actually have a shot at, getting a decent price on these. So it was pretty great. They're in two packages. They're all bought from the same seller, all part of the same big group of cards that they had listed individually. This one had to go through eBay's authenticity service, which is just an utter sham of a service. I'm disgusted by that service for several reasons, and I'm not going to go into that too much, but it's this service that eBay forces on you, where if a card costs over a certain amount, it has to go through their authenticity service, and it's just absurd. The card is graded, it's in a holder, and it's coming from a very reputable seller, and if I could have opted out of that, I absolutely would have, but you're not allowed. Even though you bought the card and you own it, you can't opt out of your card being sent to some other third party who gets to, fiddle with it and say, oh yeah, it's in a holder, I guess it's authentic. I mean, I'm just disgusted by the service. I'll tell you who else is disgusted by the service. dkahn's Cardboard. If you've been over to Doug Kahn's channel lately, he had a real issue with a card that he bought that went through the authenticity service that eBay forces on people, and the card was in much worse shape than had been shown in the listing. And Doug realized, he found out what many of us know, which is that you can't return the card. Once a card clears eBay authenticity, you lose as a buyer, you lose all rights to actually return that card to the seller if you're in any way dissatisfied with it. And I find that just deplorable and absurd, and I hope that eBay does away with this service or changes it in some way, because it's making me not want to buy cards on their platform. I bought these because, like I said, it felt like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm going to open these up, and you can see what I am talking about here. I think these are cards that you may never have seen before. I think they're really beautiful cards. These are... I don't really have too many Grail cards or anything like that, but this set of cards is something that I have always thought is really quite amazing, and have always wanted to have some nice examples of these cards, so I'm pretty excited about that. Take these out of here. There's a post-it note on here with some weird esoteric writing, and I'll just put these are Diamond Stars from 1934 to 1936. Diamond Stars was a set that was produced by National Chicle Gum, so these cards came in packs with gum, just like cards did for many, many years. And again, these were produced from 1934 to 1936. And they're beautiful cards. The art on the cards, you'll see, is sort of a Art Deco sort of style, very vibrant colors, beautiful art. That's why I've always liked these cards so much. I think the art is just amazing, and some of these cards that I bought are not necessarily players that I'm super into, but I just think the cards are so beautiful I couldn't resist, and so that was my criteria for buying several of these. So I'll show you the first one here. Now, who is this? Okay, this also has some weird post-it notage on there. This is Buck Jordan, and I'll bring this up to the camera so you can really see the card. I think it's just a beautiful card. This is SGC 5, which is a fantastic grade for a card this old. This, as you can see up here, is 1935 is the date of issue for this card. And they know that, though these cards came out over a period of 3 years, you can tell what year the card actually came out, because if you read the back, it has statistics and facts, and it also has a copyright date. So between those two things, you can kind of usually tell pretty accurately when the card was actually issued. This one was issued in 1935. I think it's just... I don't know too much about Buck Jordan. I'll tell you what I do know about him, but the main reason I bought this card is I just think it's a beautiful baseball card. I just think it's quite lovely. My camera's probably not doing it justice. Buck Jordan, what I do know about him, he played in the majors for about 10 years, did not have a remarkable career by any means. He's certainly not a Hall of Famer. I think he was a .299 lifetime hitter, which, I feel like if I were Buck Jordan, I would have played in at least another couple of games so I could get to, 300 lifetime hitter, but .299 is what he attained. Again, not a remarkable player. I just really love the card. I think it's just beautiful. It's a 5. So the other thing about these, and I kind of alluded to this, and I want to make it really clear, not many of these have been graded, and those that have been graded do not usually get high grades. A 5 on a card from the 1930s is very high. There are only about a dozen or so that are higher than this that have been graded, and only about a little more than 50 have been graded in an SGC holder. So I think it's a beautiful card. I really like it quite a bit. This one is also weird post-it notes on here. I don't know what that's about. This one is Earl Grace, and as you can see, he was a catcher. Bring this up. Again, I mainly bought this because I just think it's a beautiful card. I love that you can see this equipment in the back and these other guys standing there. I just think that's really beautiful. The color is really vibrant, extremely colorful. Like I said, these kind of have an Art Deco sort of style to them. Now, this is a very low grade. I don't know if you caught that, but it's a 1.5. And this one was pretty cheap. This was under $30, which is amazing for a card this old. Even it's a 1.5, I think the main reason for that, it's got that little stain up there. You flip this over, the back is really quite nice, and the front is really quite nice. I mean, other than that stain, I mean, this is pretty well centered. This is, I mean, visually to me, this is much better than a 1.5, and I felt like I got a real bargain on this. Again, Earl Grace is not a name that any of you should know. He's not a Hall of Famer or anything. He also played for about 10 years, and his main claim to fame was in 1932. He committed only one error in over 400 chances, and that set the National League record for fielding percentage at .998. Again, I'm not a huge Earl Grace fan or anything like that. It went for a really low price, and there are less than 60 of these that have ever been graded by SGC. So again, it felt like something I really was quite happy to add to my collection. And then the last one out of that group, and again, there's a fourth one in here which was more expensive, and you'll see why that is when I open it. This was a 6, which is, again, really high grade, super high grade. This is Jack Burns. Well, you can see it's Irving Burns, but he went by Jack Burns. And he was a little, again, not a Hall of Famer, but still a little better known than those other two players we looked at already. And I think this is, again, a beautiful card. I love the cityscape background there, the industrial feeling of that. Jack Burns played for the Browns, St. Louis Browns, and I don't know that really reflects the way St. Louis looked then, but I kind of imagine it does. It really, and again, this is a 6, so this is in, much better shape than the card I just showed you. But really, when you look at these two, I don't really see the Earl Grace card as being a 1.5. I'm just looking at them next to one another. The centering is really good on both of these cards. The corners are certainly better on Jack Burns, but not that much better. So I don't know about that 1.5. That feels like I don't know. It feels like a very low grade for what that card actually looks like. Anyway, Jack Burns, Irving Burns went by Jack. This is also a blue back. I don't know if you can pick that up on the camera, but the blue ink is a little rarer than the regular ones. If you see this is green ink on that one, and then I think Buck Jordan is also green ink. The green ink is much more common. The blue ink is a little rarer. That has something to do with the rarity of these, and certainly influences the price, as you can imagine. Only 14 of these have ever been graded by SGC, and only 3 of them are higher than this one that I'm holding. So again, this isn't a player that I'm hugely into or whatever. I knew a little bit about Jack Burns, and I looked up more about him, and he was a first baseman. Like I said, he played for the St. Louis Browns, also played for the Tigers later on. He only played for about 6 years, but then he became a coach and a minor league manager, and then he became a very good scout and signed a lot of important players. And his main claim to fame, and I think you guys will enjoy this, Jack Burns was the person who scouted and signed Carlton Fisk, the Hall of Fame catcher. He signed him out of the 1967 draft, brought him to the Red Sox, and that he was a very good scout. Jack Burns is known primarily for that in baseball circles. Again, I bought this because I just think it's a beautiful card. It's in a very high grade for this card, and it was I just targeted. It was hard for me to pass any of these up, but these are the 3 that my bids won. I bid on other ones, and I'm kind of glad I didn't win them, because kind of blew my card budget for a while. I'm going to open this other one here, get Mr. Kershaw out to assist me with this, and you'll see the really the cherry on top of this this ridiculous group of vintage cards. These boxes are a little difficult to get open. You got to get the blade in just the right spot to get into these, and this box is being uncooperative right now, and I don't want to stab myself in the hand or the stomach or whatever, so I'm trying to get this just right. There we go. I think that may have done it. Let's see if that... There we go. All right. So there we are. Put Mr. Kershaw away. As always, keep those blades out of the reach of small children and baseball scouts. All right, let's see if we can get into here now. All right, so this is the holder. Again, this went through eBay's authenticity service, which is a complete joke and a sham and very unfair to buyers. And they put it in this... Maybe some people like this case. I don't know. I think they're quite tacky. I don't like them. I think they're very tacky. I'm sure that's an invoice that I don't need right now. Your collection is now upgraded. I mean, can you take yourselves a little more seriously, eBay? I mean, come on, that's absurd. Then they give you this nonsense here. So there's the card, and supposedly you can bend this back and use it as some sort of display if you want to see eBay's logo on your card and have your card back here. If you wanted to see the back of your card, oh, sorry, you can't do that. I mean, what a piece of garbage. I do not understand how anybody finds this to be a worthwhile service. That's going in the trash. So anyway, here's the card that I bought. It is a 5 grade on the Hall of Famer Carl Hubble. And this was one that I tried. I think it's a beautiful card, too. That's one of the reasons I was really excited about it. I love the colors. I love his pose, and his expression is just great. But Carl Hubble is one of the all-time greatest pitchers in Major League history. I just kind of... honestly, I'm kind of shaking a little bit that I actually own a playing era Carl Hubble card right now. I'm holding this, and this is actually my card. This is... I'm pretty excited about it. Carl Hubble was the greatest National League pitcher of the 1930s. No contest at all. The only better pitcher than him in all of baseball was the American League pitcher Lefty Grove, who was just on another planet in the 1930s. Lefty Grove was just... he put up outrageous numbers. Lefty Grove won 199 games in the 1930s alone. Think about that. In a 10-year span, Lefty Grove won 199 games. You think about guys who go in the Hall of Fame with 300 victories and 300 victories. That's amazing. That's amazing. Lefty Grove got about 200 in just 10 years. That's the level that he was pitching at. Right behind him however, was this guy, Carl Hubble. He won the MVP twice. Carl Hubble led the league in wins and ERA 3 times during the 1930s. And in 1933, he threw a 1.63 ERA and also threw an 18-inning shutout that's still tied for the longest in history. Later that season, he threw 46 straight scoreless innings. Think about that. 46 straight scoreless innings this guy threw in 1933. One of the greatest seasons ever by any pitcher. He just did all kinds of utterly amazing things. He was great throughout the entire decade of the 1930s, really. In 1936, Carl Hubble won his last 16 straight games and then won his first 8 straight games in 1937 for a total of 24 straight wins, which is still a record for the most in Major League history. And 24 straight wins, I mean, I can't imagine anyone will ever break that record. That is nuts. That is just crazy. What a record, 24 straight wins. That is, and most of them were complete games, by the way, because that's how pitchers used to actually pitch. You guys know my feelings on pitchers these days, not throwing complete games anymore. Carl Hubble played for the Giants his entire career, and when he retired, he was immediately named the director of player development for the team, and he held that position for 35 years. So Carl Hubble was truly a lifetime Giant and a lifetime baseball person, and a true all-time great of the game. None of what I've just told you, though, is what he's actually most famous for. That's the crazy thing about Carl Hubble. He's this amazing, and they also put this nice eBay sticker on the back so you can actually see the back of your card, which is so helpful. All right, I'm going to let it go. But I want to tell you what Carl Hubble is most famous for, because it's an amazing thing, and if you don't know about it, you should. He is most remembered for what he did in the 1934 All-Star Game. Now, this is a 1935 card, so this came out right after that. This came out, less than a year later. That is so awesome to me to have this and to know that it's so connected to this amazing thing that happened in baseball history that many historians still remember today. In the 1934 All-Star Game, Carl Hubble was the National League starting pitcher, and he struck out 5 future Hall of Famers in a row. Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Jimmy Fox, Al Simmons, and Joe Cronin. That is stunning. That is amazing, and everybody at the time thought that was just remarkable. Even though, I talked about Lefty Grove and the amazing stuff that he did in the 1930s, even though Lefty Grove was just pitching like he was on another planet during that decade, a lot of people, after seeing some of the things Carl Hubble did, including that amazing performance of striking out those 5 Hall of Famers in a row, thought that Carl Hubble was the best pitcher in baseball at that time. The Sporting News called it one of the greatest pitching achievements of modern times. They wrote about it, like the day after the All-Star Game, and that's what they had to say about it. And I mean, you strike out Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and Jimmy Fox in a row, and then you strike out Al Simmons and Joe Cronin, who were amazing hitters in and of themselves. And the thing and my grandfather was the first person, I've talked about my grandfather in this channel a lot before, he was the first person to tell me that story. And he told me that, and then he said, but I'll tell you what else. And he often did that. He would tell me something amazing. When he told me about Willie Mays' catch, most of you know what that is, my grandfather told me about it, and, he demonstrated how Willie Mays caught the ball and everything, and then he paused and he said, I'll tell you what, the throw was even more amazing. Willie Mays' throw back to the infield was even more amazing. And I think it's true. I've read a lot about that play since then, and I think my grandfather was right about that. And the thing that he told me about the Carl Hubble thing, about the All-Star Game, he said he struck out these 5 players in a row. These are the greatest players who were playing at the time, and I'll tell you what else. Bill Dickey came up after that, and he got a hit. He got on base, but then Carl Hubble retired the next 3 batters. You gotta be kidding me. He basically plowed his way through the American League All-Star lineup, just retiring hitters like nothing. I mean, striking out 5 and then, letting one guy on and then getting the next 3. I think I have that right. I should have looked that up. I should have looked all of this up before I came on the air. I'm doing a lot of this from memory, but Carl Hubble, all-time great. I'm thrilled to have this card, to own this card. This is just something else, a really wonderful addition to my collection. I'm pretty excited about. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode and enjoyed seeing these cards. I think, like I said, it was a very, very rare thing to see so many of these in such nice grades come up for auction. Usually these are posted on Buy It Nows, and they're, extremely expensive and, not something that I would ever look at and be, oh yeah, I'm ready to, spend that on that card. But when they came up for auction, and so many of them, I just couldn't resist. Like I said, there were a lot that I also looked at and, considered, and even some other ones that I put bids on. But these are the 4 that I ended up with, and I couldn't be happier. Really very happy with all 4 of these. I'm going to look at these even more closely and examine them even in more detail after I turn the camera off and get this posted. I hope you guys had a great weekend. It's Monday as I'm posting this, and I finally feel like maybe I'm getting over this cold. I was coughing my head off all weekend. My son is still sick as well, though I did send him to school today because I'm a terrible parent, but I didn't want him missing any more school. I hate that he missed as much as he did. So, and we got more snow here over the weekend, supposed to get more this week as well. So winter marches on here on the mountain, which I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. That's just how it goes some years. In any event, thanks so much for tuning into the show today. As you can probably tell, I'm, overjoyed about having these cards. These are just beauties, and I hope you guys are doing well and that your week is starting off well. I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow, and maybe another mail day tomorrow. Not stuff that I bought, but stuff that one of you awesome people sent me. I want to get to that this week and maybe try to do it tomorrow. Look forward to seeing you then, and as always, happy collecting.